Houston, this is Artemis calling. Requesting permission to land. Artemis Pyle from Lynyrd Skynyrd. Coming in. Warning. Arch's Garage Live is not suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion advised.
Most common cooking oil is literally motor oil. Canola oil is everywhere. Restaurants, packaged foods in your pantry. It's all made from
a seed.
Since the Industrial Revolution. Canola oil was the solution. It was a contribution.
Pick it up.
To lubricants for ship, steam engine maintenance.
No.
Built a lot of ships during World War II and needed a lot of lubricants. Canada made a bunch of this seed oil in abundance.
Thanks, Canada.
After World War II, they had so much excess oil. What a nuisance. Too much oil. Then some finance guy said, maybe we could eat the oil again.
Let's eat it. I don't get it. How's everybody doing on this fine Saturday? It was very nice out. I didn't actually check the temp. Right now it's 54, but I would say it was most pleasant. It was a most pleasant Saturday, I think, for a lot of us that had the day off. I didn't. Yeah, shout out to John. Johnny, bravo. Uncle Mark's here. Hi, all from Canada. Thanks, Canada, for your contribution. Uncle Mark personally involved in that. He goes, Uncle Mark says, I had a big dump of snow Thursday. I heard that there's still a lot around, 12 to 15. I was able to find my bolt jump drawer or junk drawer, a screw that would work, made a 10 millimeter head on it, starts fine now. He goes, junk drawer, that's what I figured, not jump drawer. Yep. Starter bolt. Henry here's Henry. Let's see. Mark's did Ken do a show today? Because I checked at about 3 when I had a moment to come in, and because I was outside. I'll show you what I was up to. Stand by a little bit, but I don't think he had a show. I looked, but I didn't see it. He goes, no, he was at a funeral. Oh, I'm sorry. Lost a bolt. What's up with my typing? I don't know. Sometimes typing I get like that. I'm not a typist. I wanted to take typing, but I never did. I took everything else. Somehow I didn't get a chance to fit typing in. Because I suck at it. You know, I'm a pecker, right? Oh, geez, that didn't come out right, did it? No. I am a pecker sometimes. I'm a real pecker. I got a story for you guys. Get to that in a minute. He goes, no, he was at a funeral. Oh, I'm sorry. That's horrible. Not a nice day. Well, actually, you know, what did Worf used to say? Remember Star Trek? He'd say, today is a good day to die. You know, he was crazy, that guy. Yeah. You see what it really looks like? Yeah. So Kevin, hey, Kevin. He goes, hello from New York as well. Kevin, New York, in the house. Double teaming everybody. We're double teaming. Kevin and I are double teaming yous. All right? We're going at it. Hold on. I got something. Well, just something for... You know, I didn't have a chance to do any, you know, mashups or anything, but this was funny. I thought this was funny. So I'm like, and it's playfully, you know, clean funny. So, you know, because some of the things that I do are just horrible. You know, nobody should really pay attention to. Let's see. Where did I put it? Is this it? This is it. Yeah, here we go. Let's run this one. Yeah, let me make sure the desktop audio is on. I might have to adjust a little bit, though. Whoops.
Quick! Natural.
Natural.
That wasn't a speed bump. Just let me handle this. Don't say a word.
License and registration, please.
Yeah, sure. Just one second.
Oh, that's great. It's the Miss Blackie saga. Hold on. So, yeah, Miss Blackie saga. I got to make it stop. Cool Mountain Man. Shout out to Cool Mountain Man original. I don't know how he makes this stuff, but, you know. What do we know, right? Shout out to him on that one. Yeah, Henry hit me up last week. I think it was last week. He's like, "Oh, you didn't show mixing the paint." I know. I at some point I didn't go back through it because if I use my right hand monitor, not the far right, but this right hand monitor here. Usually I have it set up to play anything I want on it, and sometimes I'll actually use this other monitor, which there's nothing on it right now. That's over there. And then my OBS console's over here. And then my big screen is me and you guys and text windows, which sometimes I put up the text window. Like this. Let's see. We haven't done that in a while. So I forgot to swap screens. And so this should be, I think this should be split screen chat. So I just want to see, because we haven't done that in a while. I'm not seeing anything. So I don't know if I reset it up. Yeah, I'm going to have to check that. So I'm on A10 camera. So I know it's black. And I used to pop this out, but I don't think it works if I pop out chat. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. I have to reinitialize it. Let's see. No, I'll just come. Let's see. No, I'll do it later. Maybe I have it off. Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah, I'll play with it another time. That's what she said. But yeah, because I changed a bunch of things. So when I killed the computer not that long ago. So can I put the chat back? I'll leave it popped out anyway. It looks good, Arch, Mark says. Thanks, brother. Sorry, guys. That was a Skeeter, and I don't think I got it. There's one hanging around here. Yup. Great. Welcome back, Skeeters. Great. First really nice day, and the Skeeters are back already. Ah, jeez. Part of that is my neighbor. We can't wait till he just gets rid of his pool because he doesn't take care of it. So it just sits open now. And it's like it's like mosquito central. You go in the back. As soon as I walk out my back door, he's got to get rid of that thing. He said last year was going to be like the last year for it because he can't do it anymore. And he moved his in-laws into the little cottage. So we were talking today. My daughter's like, I'm not moving back there because we said, we've been talking about we'll just get like a trailer home and put it back there. And they could live in it because they want to get married, all up and getting married and everything. And she's like, I don't want to be back there because of the Skeeters. And I'm like, well, hopefully it's really the pool that's doing it. I mean, there is the lake back there, but it's the pool. I mean, the geese land in it and they crap in it. And so hopefully that will stop, especially with the in-laws back there now, because they're not going to be able to go out there and do anything because they're going to get attacked by Skeeters right away. Yeah, it's water skiing weather here now, bro. It says, I know, right? I know. It's good to be down south sometimes. Yeah, a lot of places in this country was still getting snow and cold and all kind of stuff. Mark says we have at least 2 feet of snow still. He goes, something country road snow was too deep and too wide. Had to get bulldozer to come in. Oh my God. Kevin says, what a mess. That's annoying. Yeah, it is. It's horrible. You can't, I like to work back there. So that's where all my junk is, you guys know. Robert says, Arch, get you one of those Liba interior bug zappers. They work awesome. I know, I definitely got to get one. I have one in the garage, one in the kitchen. Also, I want to get one of those gas bug lamp things, the big tall ones that you put out on your patio. And not only do they warm up your patio at night, but they zap the bugs and all of that. Yeah, definitely got to get that. But, my ex-wife had a good idea because, the pressure with everything and the wedding and all this other stuff. Christine's like, oh my God, we just got engaged. And they want to hit her in-laws, future in-laws, I think there's a family member that's, it's getting up there in the years and he's got some issues. So the mother says, it'd be nice if you could have the wedding before he passes on. And I'm like, Christina, don't let that pressure you. You don't go and get married because somebody's about to die. That's crazy, right? All that extra, and the money, right? And it's the money and in the living scenarios and oh, jeez. Nothing like adding that little bit of extra pressure on, right? Especially that kind of pressure. You don't say shit like that. So my ex-wife had a good idea. So basically it's like, all right, get a nice trailer, put it back there, pay the town and the state the money to register it and whatever else and the insurance. Because I'm willing to bet that's probably about the same cost as us putting up a building and having my taxes go up again. And my escrow just went up because of the taxes. And the governor's upstate. She's got this Department of Energy or whatever, some subdivision where they're going around the state up there and they're just picking all the prime farmland. And the department, I forget what department it is. It's not the EPA. It's like a wildlife refuge zones, right? These are zones that the government has come in and said, look, these are very specific areas for certain birds and other animals, and you can't build here. Well, their Department of Energy upstate New York, they don't have to answer anybody. They overrule everything. So they're picking all of these areas. So thousands and 10,000s of acres, prime land upstate, they want to put effing solar panels. Upstate, where you're lucky if the sun shines for a part of the year, and the rest of the year it's lousy out, it's cold out, there's no wind, and it's snowing. These people, it's all about the money. It's a money scam. And she's desperate because Mamdani, the communist, is chased out, and New York, with its lousy taxes and its craziness, right, has chased out all the rich people, right? And so she's like, I have nobody to pay for all of these wonderful liberal policies. Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, so wonderful that nobody wants to be around for them. It's so bizarre. So I don't get it. He goes, so why don't you get those? Yeah, I got that one. Kevin says, we need to change the name to Hokel's Hellhole. Totally, bro. Oh, Mike, Big Mike. He goes, you're on a rant. I'm sorry, I'm ranting already. But Mike and I live here. Mike, we got Kevin here. He's a New Yorker too. Yeah, I'm on a rant. I'm going to go on a rant. I can't help it. I don't even want to hear. Monkey Wrench is setting up solar on his new shop, but he's freaking Florida. Yeah. And you know what? Even I watch this young, pretty little thing, right? She's in her 30s, and she lives up there, and she goes on all these rants, chasing after these people. Now she's trying to sue them and everything. She's really smart. So she had those, what do you call it? Help her build her farm. What do they call them again? I can't think tonight. I'm tired. I'm always tired at night, They're the local, they live in Pennsylvania. I forget what Amish community is, but it's a particular Amish community. They built so much beautiful stuff. Well, they're getting their land split up, right, by the same organization. OLE or OEL, I don't know. A-hole. But she's going after these people. Good for her. She's young. She's spirited. Yeah, the Amish. Yeah, but it's a particular kind. They're like, there's Mennonites and there's a number of them. And we have our own version of them. What awesome people, and they're really good builders. Really, really good builders. Oh, I wish I could live up there and have them build a nice shop. Oh my God. They're so good at what they do. And it looks beautiful, too. Me, I had to put this all back together, He goes, I follow that girl, too. She's great. Yeah, isn't she awesome? Oh, fellas, if I were a younger man. Right? She's really, really cute. She's a pretty Italian girl. I forget her last name. So anyway, I watched this guy. Anybody ever watch, Max Grant? He's like an Australian dude, our age, my age. He's like 2 years younger than me. It looks like driftwood, right? All these guys that I watch are around my age. I'm not a pretty young thing, anymore. But they're so wrinkled up. They look like driftwood just rolled in and dried out and all summer long. Anyway, really great guy. Great machinist and everything. But he's Australian, so he's got that Australian accent. I can't even do it. It's more nasally and he's such a good machinist. So he's restoring, going through this 1930s British lathe, right? And he's doing a nice job. So he pulls off, I think he pulled off the apron or whatever, or a gearbox. And as he was pulling it apart, a small little piece of pin fell out. He sees everything. He grabbed it. He's like, oh, what's that from? Probably from here. It's been broken a long time, right? So he puts it aside. Everything gets put aside. And then he's pulling off this other box, and there's all of this mung behind it, right? Chips and everything. And he's poking at it with his little screwdriver. He likes to poke at things with this little screwdriver. And he sees a brass thing, right? You see some brass, mostly steel, and he's going on about what that lathe has seen and if the chips could talk, right? He's romanticizing in his own way, right? True machinist. And he sees this little pin. He goes, oh, I bet that's the other half of the pin that broke off of whatever. He goes, I'll bet you left bollocks, right? That's what it is. And I'm thinking to myself, left bollocks? Whoa, what's a left bollocks? I don't even know what the right bollocks is, right? Left bollocks. So later on, towards the end, he cleans these two pieces off and he's got them, the camera zoomed in tight. And he goes, look, that's the other half. And there's some writing on it, and he's trying to read it, and he's like, I wonder what that said. So I write in, I said, for a minute there, I thought it was going to read, left bollocks, right? He actually got a kick out of that. Maybe it was going to say left bollocks on. Anybody know what a bollocks is? Which one is the left? I guess the left side? I don't know. I need the left and the right bollocks if they're any good and if they're worth having. So I'm like, I got to copy some of this stuff. So I'm letting you guys know right up front, if you start hearing me say some of these things, because I don't know what they mean, honestly. I'm guessing what they mean, you left bollock. So they say certain things I think is really neat, and he's really good. Like he likes to restore this old stuff. And then he does, he's a jobber on the side. So he moved into this big shop he had made. But it's your typical tin building, right? But, he's got a lot of cool stuff in there. And he sells some of it. And then he does jobs on the side. And he does all this restoring. And he's so deep into it. But he's got a lot of nice stuff. And he complains that his shop is not big enough. I think it doesn't matter how big what size shop you have. Even if you go and you make or get a bigger one, at some point, you'll put more shit in it. And then you'll be like, my shop's getting a little tight in here, right? So I should have made it a little bit bigger. Oh, Papa's here. Hold on. I can't read. He goes, you gotta follow that girl too. His Papa says, the Mennonites put steel roof on my house. Wow, great price and workmanship. Oh, dude, you are so lucky. Yeah. I mean, because down here they rip you off. There are all of these organizations. They come up with a name like King Quality or some, because it's not King and there's no King and there's no King's Day. Yeah, they had one here, too. They had a couple of them here. What the hell is that? Whatever. Yeah, my sister was here for her holidays. Almost threw her out. Like, it's only so much you can take of these people. Like, she wanted to leave anyway. I'm like, good go. 100%. Fill it up with more crap. Yeah. Fill it up. It's not crap, right? To the ladies, it might be crap, but not to us, not to me. I'll show you some stuff I did in a little bit. But yeah, if you hear me say left bollock, you know where I'm getting it from. Max Grant, check him out if you're into machining and machinist stuff. Half the time I don't know what the hell he's doing, right? Because I'm not a machinist. I'm just a jobber and a mechanic and whatever, and I just like cool stuff. And today he was straddling. He was on top of the lathe bed trying to shave off by scraping, a few tenths off of a sideway, right, on one of the ways on the inside. And he's had to get up on it. And, it knocks you out. I mean, you do like 6 inches at a time. That's what she said. And then you have to come back the other way. And he's trying to take a thousandth off over here, a few tenths over here, maybe a thou and a half over there. And it's amazing watching these guys refit these old things, especially the older stuff. But, one day I'll buy a nice lathe, but no, I want to finish the one that Big Mike set me up with first. And I'm getting there. I'm almost getting to the point. I'll show you what I was working on this week. And then I'll be back on Mike's. I did finish the engine stand for our engines and his engine. So since it was so nice this week, and not every day was, but most of the days, it's been windy and a little dark and a little cool, but I don't care, right? It's not 30 degrees. So hell, I was out, it was 7 degrees. So this is hot, to me at this point. So at least 4 or 5 hours a day, I'm out there working on contractor Mike's stander. What a mess. And I had to weld a lot. The deck was falling apart. Somebody did try to do some stuff to it, and I'll show you that. But I guess it's a 20-year-old machine. It's on you'll see it in a minute, but it's on my thumbnail. It was made in 2005, but it didn't get sold in 2007 because I traced the serial number. And for the most part, the parts are still available. So let me show you a little bit about that. It is a really nice machine. Now it is. Now, when you see it's almost done, let me make sure we're all set up. But a lot of welding, and it's nice because I bought that stick welder and I practiced a little bit, on the engine stand project. So I had enough under my, I had enough left bollock, right, to be able to go out there and stick weld in the wind, because you can't do anything else other than use some kind of flux core. So let's see, where is it? We'll go to the right one. I want to show you about it. Just nice stuff, I think. When you're done with it, right? We'll start off a little. We'll go. I'm not going to go back that far, but what was this one here? Let's see. Make sure the audio's on. Yeah, no matter what project it is, if it's the least bit involved, everything comes out. But as I was telling Big Mike, like one of the things I'll do with some of these projects, because the parts aren't all in yet. So I had all of these here. Mike even gave me some discs and some grinding pads, whatever. But some of this came from Grumman, which is, I don't know, some of this stuff is so old, I think the glue is delaminating. Yeah.
You see what I mean? But that's easily fixed. Anyway, I've got tons of this stuff. And then I got these kinds of, I got the roll locks, I got the sort of bayonet mount. I've got these guys here, tons of these for my variable speed grinder. There's just stuff everywhere. They're in everything.
I did clean up even before this.
I picked this up. Neighbor threw this out a while back. I had stuff in my nice toolbox
this
over
is
here,
a sin.
which needs some work.
I'm ashamed.
I want to see if I can get the paint for this.
I'm
I might
ashamed.
just clear coat it, right? Because look, water got underneath and it rusted. And then there was all kinds of crap in here.
Shame on me.
How do I need all of that? So, and then there was a whole bunch of stuff in here too. This, I think, is going to go underneath the lathe. But this has got really heavy-duty rollers on it, so I've been putting... I mean, we could probably leave some of that in there, right? Fill it up more, but...
That's a nice
from
box.
Clamps to punches to... There's just been so much stuff. I've got blocks in here, right?
I'm
Gauge
ashamed.
blocks that are rotting. Different kinds of pullers. So I'm thinking this is going to be underneath the lathe. And then, like I said, my neighbor threw this out, so I've been putting sandpapers and stuff in there. So as I'm like in between, there's more up there.
Like Kevin says, more crap.
We got belts. I got belts in the other room. Little by little, this got cleaned up a lot. As you can see, I already started. We got a bottle back there, another bottle spot. Long rod, brazing rod, welding rod. Starting to, this is where I keep a lot of the stuff in my new welder.
I'm trying.
So a little bit at a time, I'm cleaning up. That other rolling cart with the welder on it, it's in the other room, is where I'm starting to keep grinders and some stuff that I'm working with. On that cart, a little bit at a time.
This is an inspirational video to all of you out there.
I'm working on these kinds of projects. So I lost the footage on that, but I wanted to finish cleaning this up because this was just packed. Absolutely packed. Somebody went to town with a MIG wire build up 2 inches high.
I think
so the shaft needs to go through there.
I think they let some like Chinese guy apprentice, right, practice inside the bore right there. Like, yeah, go learn how to weld inside there. Oh, it was a mess. An absolute mess.
Motors that I want to put on this thing.
I need the shaft to be able to go in there for the motors.
With a little piece of scrap metal, which I have. I got to cut and trim to size. I'm going to weld that on, clean up a few other spots. It's about 1 o'clock right now, so even though it's kind of still cold out, It's nice back here for a few hours.
Yeah.
As long as the wind holds off.
Yeah.
Yeah, perhaps everywhere. But it's fun, right? Enjoying it. Nice having another table to pile crap on.
Yep. It becomes yet another surface to pile crap on. Yep.
All right, it's almost done. So as I'm cleaning this up, there's some kind of, you can smell it. It's like, it's not rust. There's very little of it left.
They put something in it. They did the same thing with my Chinese vise, right? They put Bondo around the vise to smooth it and make it like smooth. And I was cleaning it up. I showed you guys some of that footage. I got to finish it too because I made some mix up to the paint for it. And so they put Bondo around it. So I don't know what was in this. I don't know. You could smell it.
But it was like a epoxy or something. And it's almost like they tried to weld some additional material in. Or
I don't
I
know.
don't know. Some of this is for me, right, digging in. But it just had gotten so bad. But it was just this weird brown. And like I said, it wasn't rust. It's like a plastic. So I just loaded up an old sander disc on there
And got rid of it, yeah.
on here.
What else we
and
got?
of course,
Let me
looks
see.
like you could fit him
Yeah.
out.
Anyway, I got
cold,
through that.
Right?
Clean that up.
You know, anything that might scratch you.
Yeah,
or
blah, blah,
whatever.
blah, blah, blah. So, let's see. Oh, this is good. This is good. I showed this to Ken.
I just mentioned it to Ken. I sent him the pics. But yeah, tools made in USA, right? The repair kit, Chinese.
Yeah, that's the Craftsman Handy Cut. That's a great tool.
All right, today's plan
I'm not going to show the welding.
is we got to get this up in the air and secure it. And we got to get this dent out as best as we can. So we're going to heat that up. And then we got to drive this out. So if we have to heat it up,
That's
I'll have
stuck.
the torch out.
No one ever.
I'll have
That
to
wheel
do
is
that.
stuck.
I did clean up a little bit last night.
All cracks everywhere.
And
Cracks,
back
cracks.
there too, you probably can't see it, but there's a crack back there, which I couldn't really do as much as I wanted to. And I got on the other sides of this. So he did the one side. I just
Yeah, some other guy worked on this, but it cracked
and
all
that's
over.
good enough, right? I mean, if I wanted to, I could have floated a little bit more, but there's a lot of material there. I might just hit the
I'm
the
trying
easy
just to,
areas
like,
with my bigger
wet it
grinder real
down.
quick. Is reversing the plate.
Let's
Then
see.
we're not trying to.
This got sprayed.
So I finished this up last night.
Yep, that's all
And
sprayed
drying
up.
it the primer on. Then Mike's paint. Any paint that gets on it now.
Yeah. Let's see, what was this
All right,
about?
so now the one I'm going to show you, I just set up for negative ground.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
What I like about this welder. And it worked good, 359 amp. But yeah, let me show you. The other, I did try hitting it
Yeah,
with the
crack
hammer, but it's
underneath,
not going
cracks from
anywhere. It's fine.
underneath, cracks in the back.
But it definitely came out the other side. I
It's
tagged
just
it
cracks
on the bottom.
everywhere. Flame
Throw
this
that
out.
last shot. I was zoomed in.
Had to torch it out.
So we could see in there's a lot of junk. So we'll get that out in a bit.
What else we got?
And
I
don't
bent
think
that
we-
over, fixed that.
But he doesn't have any kind of plate or anything. This is how they use.
Yeah, he uses the machine with no deflector or anything on it. All his machines. One of these days, he's going to break a window or something, and it's going to cost him a season's worth of, because he doesn't have insurance, I don't think, and he's going to screw himself. But he won't listen. You know, I only say things a couple of times.
All right, I clean this up.
That was really bad.
Front edge. That's as good as I'm going to make it. It's much better. And I clean these up just a little bit. All right. That's good enough. And I hit, just kind of give it a nick, go over it a little with sandpaper and Scotch-Brite. Nothing fancy here.
Birch
We're going
it,
to wash
weld
it
it
now.
down, try to like overplate it with a lot of
And
extra
I
weld.
covered up this hole and tried to, put a little weld splash.
What else we got?
We'll even we'll do some priming. So when we get to that.
Yeah, that was all gacked up.
All right, second application.
So this is rust. It's like a
And you can
rust
see it's
performance
turned some of
phosphoric
it
acid.
black. It's pulled off a lot of the rust.
That's a plate
And
that underneath there
It just
rotted out.
stabilizes it. It's converting it. So I want to leave that on, actually, a little bit longer. Maybe another 15 minutes or so, especially in this area here where that guy put that.
It was so
patch.
packed in that area. It
And
took a while to clean it
overall,
out.
looks really good. We could put some of the rim cleaner on. Another quick rinse.
Yeah, so that's all
another time.
clean.
So let me go put a little bit of
And in today's effort, finish up with this.
All right, I've managed to put a dent in the mess that was here. There's still some stuff hanging out. So I'll go through some of this another time. But yeah, we got some parts to go through. Hold on, let me get these out. Where are they? This is all parts I've shown Ken. Yeah, this is them. I got all my parts. I'll put another pick in for my handy cut. I just got to clean them up. This one's kind of nasty. This is for the garden. So I do want to clean it up. Those are nice, right? That's for the lathe. I figured we'll get to that in a minute. This is for all this stuff is mostly for the project I'm working on for the Wright. And I picked these up. Yeah. And that's what we're looking for. So I actually cleaned this up. Hadn't been cleaned in a long time. I'm going to be using this today. Oh, easy. Yeah.
Nice.
Concourse Pro. Now the cheap ones are nice too. The Harbor Freight cheapy ones. My friend Rob and I used to get those, use them for a little while, clean them out once or twice. As soon as they start to give you a hard way to go, you get another one and throw that one in the trash. But yeah, we're gonna use this one since I'm going to be spraying outside. I don't need a lot. Like, we could use this gun. I might. I don't know. A lot of times I like to use my jam gun because it really sips paint.
Yeah, it does.
And it's pretty much set up to spray what I'm going to be spraying. Although this is easy to clean out.
Yeah.
But that's a little bit too big. But I also like to use my other gun. I'll get that out in a bit. But I don't know. We'll have to see because the position I'm going to be spraying in. I don't know. Let's go take a look at the other gun. I'm still thinking on it. I sprayed cars with this, but I've sprayed everything you could imagine and everything through it you could imagine.
Yup.
I don't have a filter for the end. This is a Devil Bliss.
Right, Devil
I think
Bliss.
this came off of some Harbor Freight years ago, and then I bought this
I was like 20.
Devil Bliss for
Maybe
I don't know, a long
18,
time ago.
19.
Jeez. It's 18, 20. And I put a different nozzle on it, so this nozzle is just good all around. You could spray anything with this, literally. But we're not using a lot of paint, and it doesn't suck completely from the bottom.
Yeah, it always leaves some.
So that's an issue. So I got these guys. Here, let's open one up. Oh, let me put this down.
Yeah, I need two hands for things. I'm not a one-handed Willie. You know?
Yeah, these are the nice little disposable filters that go inside of here. But I got to get the hat, the boot that goes on the end
Yeah,
of
they're
the
little
tube
filters.
for that.
I forgot to get that.
So this is about ready to go. Let me figure out what I want, because I don't want to spray a lot of paint. We don't have a lot to spray. So we are going to be putting some whatever yellow I have. It's the whatever yellow. I think it's probably a Cub yellow.
No,
I
it's a
wanna
John
cover
Deere
over the
yellow.
Wright sticker. I want to lower it down too a little bit. I'll do the sticker first. So this is dry now. It's been out in the sun
It's all
for
clean,
half hour,
all
hour.
etched.
So it's a good time. We'll cover over what I don't want to get any paint on, which isn't a lot. Although we may take off the sticker.
Yeah.
Stuff is zinc, and you can see
Let's
it
go to
in
the
some
next
spots.
one. That's good. That's all done.
All right. So I cleaned up in here a little bit, but not much, just enough. And I finished this up. This
It
was a
won't
real
look like
nightmare.
that much longer.
So as soon as I get done with the painting and all that nonsense, I want to bring in that machine. But before I do that, I'd like to bring in the machine. I don't think I need it here. I might want to bring it into the shop.
We got to get that motor on that
instead of it
stand
here. So once that's in, we can drag it up with the hoist.
and get the
I made
stander
a
in.
mistake. I got the Diablo blade, but I didn't realize it was the bigger auger. This has got like a smaller auger on it.
Yeah.
3/8, whatever it is, half inch, I don't know. The other one's bigger, so screwed that up. So I still want to get a proper cutting machine because we need more of those to cut, repetitive cuts on steel. So I didn't return the Diablo blade. I'm going to cover this over. And that, I'll take that apart when I get a chance. And so that's going to go underneath this guy. So it's going to be donated to this. And then we just need to make some cross braces and something maybe in the middle. And I have some cabinets I'm thinking about putting in here.
Yep.
And here, let's get those toggles covers. Hold on. Yeah, that'll work out good. So until Okay. So that's going to go right there. Oh, hold on. Oh, let the air compressor run. I need it. That's going to go right there. And that way you can just slam it and shut the machine off. Act like an emergency. And we don't need one for the reversing. Although you could put one on.
I'm gonna.
Because you don't do a lot of reversing, so you could force it in, forward mode. And I might do
Sort of
that.
lock
So
out
eventually
reverse.
this might wind up here, and I do have a 220 run somewhere up in the ceiling, so we'd have to find it. It's on the other side of that wall. We can bring it down. That would be pretty easy. So if I set it up over here, and then I think if it winds up here and I like it, we can pin it to the floor to some degree.
Yeah, I'll figure something
find a way
out there.
to make it, more solid to the floor. All right. Don't know where this is going.
Yeah, I don't know where it's gonna go yet.
All right, I got my coffee. Keep me charged up. I am going to need some more mineral spirits. I'm going to have to pick some up and put that on the list, and some more lacquer thinner. We had this out last week, so there's a little bit left over. So that's the primer. We're not going
it's
to use it a
caterpillar
lot,
yellow.
so we'll mix into this. We'll pour into that. That's going to get dirty anyway. And this I opened a while back, probably last year when I was doing his other Wright, or somebody's.
It had a little
And then
bit of
This
skin.
can somebody gave me, one of the customer fellas, friend of the channel. So this is probably closer, but hey, we don't care. Let's go outside, basically set up here.
That's it. We're ready.
All right, engine stands are out, or car stands. More for over, and so the rest of it's
Let's
just
see.
paste. That's a crack,
That's nice.
or was a crack.
Okay, that's good. There we go.
All right, primer's on. It's a little too windy, but you get close and then it runs a bit, but that's okay. It's primer,
It dries. You can't
so
see
everything
it.
looks really good. I got as much on as I could. I tried a little, normal consistency first, but
Yeah, a
I
little
wanted
thicker,
it to
and then I
run
thinned
into
it.
the welds and up underneath any paint.
Yeah, I want it flowing
areas
in.
that were starting to delam, old paint. Try to get it up underneath, let it flow into the welds,
Yeah,
and
that's
over
good.
here. Just a light coat over here, whatever was left. Level stuff. So that's what I put on there. I'm not ready to fit that anyway.
All
We're
right,
done
so
with
now let's see.
it. All right, 2 coats. So what I did with the second coat, because that stuff was a little bit bright, is I put a little bit of the brown primer in it. I probably should have put it in from the start. So 1 coat in the bed, because all we want to do is seal it so that stuff doesn't stick. And then later I may move this, when I'm putting the
And
belt
then
on and
get some
spray
in there.
underneath. But we still need some lube. That's good enough, right? Over here I didn't really do very much with, because nobody cares. But adding the bit of brown, 1 coat on some of these areas. We'll come back for that. So you can see I matched it a little bit.
Yeah, it's hard to
'cause it was a
tell in
big
the sun.
difference. So that, listen, I'm not here to make its mint.
No.
Just to kind of cover over the rust, get rid of the rust mostly. A little bit back here, not much, just mostly on his fenders. Up here maybe it'll get a little clear or something, that'll brighten it up because it's faded. But it'll look like crap, as soon as he starts using it, so you won't notice any of it. Leave it. Tomorrow's Sunday, so I'm not touching it, and we'll get. See, I got some on the rims. Not a full coat, but good enough, cleaned up.
Yeah, it's cleaned up.
Definitely good enough. And by the time I go to bring it in, it'll be dry. It's almost dry right now. It's just a little bit soft.
That's the lacquer thinner. That you got to be careful with that,
and
though.
I'm was careful with putting in lacquer thinner because you can curdle the paint. I got to go clean the gun out. And then I did the same thing over here, and I put a little bit of that spray can,
Which is
stuff
closer
on,
to the correct color.
and then on top of another coat. I did this in like a couple of coats a little bit over time because it will run.
Yeah, plus you're going to see that more than anything else.
But it's more of the correct color. And then just 1 quick coat in here, and I didn't get to the black. One side's rusted. I still have to work with that. Right? We still got to clean up that shaft.
Yeah, that shaft's a mess.
So just a coat, something to clean it up.
Never
Enough
been
for today. It was
serviced.
beautiful out today, but windy, and then a lot of it disappeared in the wind, unfortunately. And then you got to get really close, and it will run,
Yeah, yeah.
and you don't get good coverage.
Right, Kevin
Well,
goes,
look,
it's
all
just
the
a
mess was done out
lawnmower. Yep.
And this isn't a machine I can move around easy,
Right.
so it is what it is. All right, I'm out of here.
It was nice to be able to do it outside coming back the whole time because I didn't have to, I can't move it. You know, make sure that comes back. Yep. So let's see, we'll go back up. Let's see. Let's see, we need to change the name to, yeah, Mark says, just blame Trump for everything. Yep, Monkey Wrench is set up solely. Yeah, I want to do that. The Amish follow that girl too. The Mennonites put steel roof. 100% fill it in with more crap. Yep, it's good stuff, crap stuff. Yep, what kind of stick welder did you get? So I showed a little bit of the stick welder. There's a little shot of it. Yeah, I'll show you in a second. I finally got the LED lights for the shop today. Mad's still playing with LED lights. Kevin says, it's coming out good. Remember, it's just a lawn mower, right? Yeah, I'll back up a little bit. So I'll do a video on it. And it's this one right here. Hold on. Let me just cue it up.
All right.
Let me turn the volume off of it. And we'll come back to right monitor. Right monitor. And let me roll it in. So this is the prime weld, and it's a multi-process. So it's doing stick, it does TIG, and cut. So pretty nice unit. The CTS or CT5 20 DP. And I had tried, you know, because his deck was so messed up, at one point I got smart because one area was really rusted. And so I reversed the polarity, and that helped out a lot. I'm running the 6011 rod on it. I don't have any more rod because I haven't had a stick welder in over 20 years, maybe 25, 30 something years. So I bought a multi-pack of 6011. It's 1/8 and 3/32. And I want to get another multi-pack as well of maybe 6010 or 6013. I'll build as I go, right? But I'm super glad that I did because I have a MIG, gas MIG, and I would like to get a flux core, and I was almost thinking about getting a model up from this, which also had a MIG on it. But, you know, as you start to get into these multi-processes, you wind up with features that nothing's really specialized, you know. But this is very nice, so I'll have to weigh those options another time. But here I'm trying to look at, I think it was about 60 amps is on the average is what I was using. Even though his metal is like 1/8, but what I'm welding is cracked and rusted and a mess. So I'm not really trying to join pieces together. I'm trying to, yeah, it's a CT5 20 DP. Stick, TIG, cut, 3-in-1. And it's a nice machine. So I'm not really joining pieces together and making something. What I'm doing is I'm thinking of it as like plating. So let me come back. Let me turn the volume back up on that so I don't forget and be like, what's wrong? So I like to think of it more as like sort of overplating, you know, on top to try to build some strength back in. And the areas in the front where the wheels go, what I did was I actually grooved the cracks. I drilled, because that's on the other camera. So I'm just showing you the quickie unedited. Eventually I'll make the video on it. But I drilled at the ends of the cracks, and then I cut grooves in the front. And then I just plated over it as best I could. And if I really wanted to spend the time, the other option would be is to grind it down and then run a nicer rod or even MIG over the top. You know, gas MIG, but not gas MIG outside. But I have no way of getting this thing, moving this thing around. The only other place I could move, because the engine doesn't run right now. So the only other place I could get it in is by pulling it in to the shop with the hoist thing, whatever it is. So the cable pull. So I could use that to get it in, but I can't drive it around, and I can't bring, really, it was so rusted that on the other camera you could see some of the first passes I made in the front. Even though it was windy out, it just filled the air with rust dust. So it got washed with the pressure washer, super clean. And then it got sort of wire wheeled and ground on a bit. and then it got washed again with some more super clean, and then I was able to start welding on it and wire wheeling it and blowing it off with the air, and it was a disgusting mess. It was bad. And honestly, I mean, I don't know if he'll keep it. He just sold another 2 machines that I made nice. He seems to sell the machines that I make nice, and he goes and gets more junk. I'm not sure why he does that. This one's going to be more expensive, I think. I don't know if he'll continue. He likes the standard. It is kind of a game changer for him. But it is a 20-something-year-old machine, and it hadn't been taken care of. Somebody tried to fix it. God knows how long ago that was. Even though it's about an 8th steel, you know, the vibrations and the stresses and weird areas where they rot. So one way to do it would be to plate over it, but I'd have to bring it in to weld it because I can't. It was just too windy this week, so there's no way I could weld outside with MIG-gas. And it would be a good idea to make additional plates. So you'd have to fill the cracks to stabilize them, grind that down, and then make plates to go over that area because it's a stress area, and then weld those in. And that would be the correct way. And so what I'll probably tell him is like, look, if you keep this machine and the spindles go, the spindles seem all right, but at some point the spindles will go. They're really nice spindles, and I think they're sealed bearings. But if they go, then we'll take the deck off and replace the spindles, you know, basically strip the deck down, and then I can go over the deck up on my tables where I can get to it, everything, and welding in normal positions and, you know, doing what I need to do with it. Make it nice. Most of it's already done, so, you know, you don't have to fix what ain't broke. But you can go over it, paint it up, make it nice, put the spindles on, put everything back on, bolt, because it's part of the machine. It's actually part of the, you know, the structure of the machine. Then put everything back. The motor runs good. He does have a leak somewhere in one of the motors, hydraulic motors. It's not really bad. He put some stop leak in it, and I went, I don't really like the idea of that. I just bought some more fluid for it and a filter. And I'm going to put that on, top off the tank, explain all of this to him, finish the tune-up. I don't think anybody's ever had the valve covers off. You know, these are great motors. So pull the valve covers off, check the valves, do what I got to do to the valves, put everything back, make it tuned up. That's what's coming next. So I'm going to drag it in here and do all of that. And let the leak be. Okay, I mean, 20 years, if it's, I mean, you know, usually hydraulic systems, you know, something goes wrong with a motor or whatever. And I said to him, I don't even know if I want to do that job because I'm going to put out the first video I did like last year on it. When he first got it, I kind of went over it. And he asked me if I could find a leak. Also, there's an electrical issue with it. Somebody gutted all the safeties on it. So right now the blades don't come on. And the one worry that I had was, his PTO is electric, right? There's no battery. There's no electric start in this. So that PTO is running off of the electric from the motor, from the starter of the engine. And usually that doesn't really provide enough current, you know, continuous current. You could burn out the starter or burn out the diodes. That could still be a problem. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with it. I mean, I said to him, I said, I don't really care because it's a nice machine and whatever the cost to fix the electric on it is the cost to fix it plus everything else. I mean, what are you going to do? Get rid of the machine? No. So it could be something stupid because somebody ripped out all of the goodies off of it because they don't know how to fix any of it. I don't know. I don't understand. But let's see. Mike's going to bed. He goes, heading upstate in the AM, spraying to kill thistle. Oh, Mike, did you rig up a crazy thing to spray the thistle? I don't know if you heard me. Did you rig up a sprayer? Yeah, a slayer really is what it should be. You know, yeah, he wants to kill stuff up there, so it's time to clear it up. So at some point, as soon as he's done, Mike's motor should by then be on the stand. And we'll wheel it over to the front of the garage. We'll take off some of the covers or whatever and get in there. I make up a list of what he needs. I'll spray it with some super clean. We'll clean it up. We'll make it nice. There's some gack inside his stator and back in around the flywheel and the starter motor, and but it's in nice shape. So I'm actually working on the video for taking it out, the parts tractor. So that's actually coming up next. But by the way, let me see what you guys are saying too. Let me see. So yeah, so that worked out. I like that welder. It's what I need for sure, and I've been using it. So Kevin says, it's coming out good. Remember, it's just a lawn mower. Papa says, great job. Kevin says, that's really nice. Thanks, guys. Yeah, the repair. Gotcha. Papa says, not sure. Wait, what did he say? Hold on. What did Mike say? Cordless DeWalt. Okay. Cordless DeWalt power washer and 15-gallon water pump. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, nice. I think that'll do it. Because he was asking me, can he use a regular pressure washer? And I said, no, it won't suck that right. It won't spray it right. He'll suck it, but it won't spray it right. He needs more of like that, kind of like a mist to lay down a nice even coat. Otherwise, it'll pee out. Like us in the middle of the night, 2 a.m., which I actually got to take a leak. Like 2 a.m. and it's dribbling out. No, you don't want that. You want to lay down a nice coating and not waste it and, kill yourself in the process, which is also partly what he wants to make sure he's not going to get it all over himself. Please, Mike, be careful. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's got it loaded in his car already. Yeah, nice. There's nothing really to see, but... Yeah, nice. So he's going to take care of that. No, he goes, I don't want cancer. Yeah, no. No, it's not moon. Fucking spell check. Yeah. Gloves, mask, eye protection. Look, it's safe if you don't drink it, and if you don't get it in your eyes, and if you don't get it in your mouth, and if it's not all over your skin, right? Because eventually it disappears, but it's just too strong for us. So if you keep it off of yourself and, if it gets on your clothing, don't keep wearing it, on your pants and you spilled all over your shoes. And no, just, remove yourself from it. Be safe with it. And don't breathe it in and all of that nonsense. And then use it, accordingly and you're good to go. Not like when we were kids and they were spraying out. Remember that? Out the back of the truck in the neighborhood and we're all running along behind it. Fucking idiots. Excuse my French. All right. Mike needs a Tyvek suit. Yeah, I have one around here somewhere, I think, for painting. I think it's in that white cabinet over there. He goes, not sure where you get your energy, Arch. He goes, I'm so tired by the time work is done. I hear you. I don't have the energy much anymore to get into a project. I need to retire so I can try more. Absolutely. Yes, Papa. Yeah. Partially retire, right? That's what I do. I'm like part retired, because if I don't stop, I'll be dead. With all the crap that went wrong with me and almost dying twice in the hospital and all that. I'm like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. He goes, you may well fix it. I love a good basket case. Yeah, and a good basket case, that's a good basket case. Some basket cases aren't worth fixing. And I'll tell Mike that. And like I did... I showed you guys. I'm not going to put the video out until the end. I don't even want to talk about the winter season coming up because Mark's still in it, right? But that snowblower of his, right? I thought it wasn't basket case, but it was a big project, and we happened to have all of the parts right here, and it was a worthy machine to save, and it was an interesting project to do. I enjoyed doing it, and. He's always taking care of me with all the kind of crazy stuff he drops off over here or whatever. So I love that stuff, right? And if it's too far gone, I always think of it as parts. So that's how we wound up with parts to his snowblower and actually that machine wasn't really that bad. That was not a basket case. That could have been cleaned up and sold. I think what was really wrong with it other than the carburetor was the issue with the transmission, which I had to fix anyway. It was an easy fix because when I put all of that on underneath Mike's motor and attach it to his barrel, that'll come out at the end of the year. I didn't even want to think about it. We're just getting first day today was really the nicest day of the whole week. The rest of the week was not all that good. But yeah, I think there's a couple of times. There was one day last week, I don't know if it was Friday or Thursday, I got done and I went and I took a nap. I was like shot. I'm like, I ate dinner, adjusted my blood sugars, and went in, and I'm like, I can't even. And then the 2 nights before that, I'm sitting here and I'm watching probably Max Grant or somebody else, and I just fell asleep. You know, I finally have trained myself to not fall over. You know, because sometimes, you know, if you're not in the right, like I'll try to prop myself up this way or on my chair, and I've learned how to prop myself up so that I don't fall over or fall forward or fall backwards when I finally just pass out. But then I start to wake up, take a shower, and I start working on video edits, right, to 2 in the morning. You know, and then like today I got up late. I got up, what, about 7:30. You know, sometimes I get up really late, 9 o'clock. You know, sometimes I get up at 6. It depends. I'm usually up pretty late, so I want to try to get like 8 hours. You know, or one of the cats comes up, leaps up on the bed because the garbage men are coming. Usually Binks, he doesn't like the garbage men, like the big green. A lot of the animals, the dogs didn't like the big green monster that would come up the block and throwing things around out front. So Binks doesn't like that. He'll if the door is closed, I'll hear him crying. They try to open the door, and usually I leave it cracked so they can open it, and they leap up on my bed. You know, you got to love that, right? I think that's really cool. You know, even though they startle me sometimes. But once that happens, like Binks came up the other day, and then I got up, went to the bathroom, whatever, and I'm petting him, and I'm changed my position. I'm leaning over, and I'm rubbing him. I fell asleep on top of him. He's out cold, right? And then I woke up again, you know. Kevin says, he goes, I have an Agco Alice, I think, Sunstar with a Kohler Command. Nice. Has a hole in the block. Ready for a Predator swap. Yeah, if you can. Well, we had talked, and Mike had asked me, you know, Big Mike had asked, because the other machine is for contractor Mike. So he'd asked me about that. I said, no, because the Kohler Magnum, we need both shafts. The output shaft on the back, and that drives the transmission pump, and the output shaft on the front, which drives the PTO, which drives everything else on the front. So the front and there's like 2 fronts. There's the rear, and then there's the front, and everybody's got to have a hole and doing something. And a lot of these motors today that are out there that people are using, there's only 1 shaft. That's just not enough. So I'm like, Mike, you got to find another engine. And he did. He found. I was just looking at some of the footage for the teardown of the parts tractor, Parts Sunstar. Like I said, which will be coming out soon. And I pulled the plugs, and I got up in the camera, and you could see them. They're really sweet. I mean, they're like chocolatey brown. And so that motor, he found some good stuff. He had to drive far to get it, but he found some good stuff, parts-wise. The machine overall could be cleaned up and turned into a machine. Now, we only have 1 motor right now. And when I pull out the motor that he fried or cooked or is now banging in the machine that I made for him, we'll put that on the engine stand after we take the good one off. And then when I have time, we'll tear it down and we'll find out what's banging in there. How bad is it? Because my motor is down a lung. It blows a lot of smoke out of one side. It fouls that plug. I had to increase the heat range on my engine, right, to burn off some of this oil. And what's interesting, too, is that it was burning a lot of oil. It still smokes a lot. You know, when I really lay into it, it's really warming up. But it's not using the oil it used to use. Been using it for the past 2 years, hard. And there was a time there where one time I almost ran it out of oil. And I was like, oh, crap, I got to start checking this more. Now I check it constantly, and it uses a lot less, like almost no oil. It doesn't leak anything. But it does smoke from one side. So hopefully between the 2 engines, I can make something, because really the block is everything, because they're flatheads. So if the block is okay, I do want to get a valve grinder. I've been looking at valve grinders, and I want more of these old cool tools, right? Remember the old cool tools? I just love this stuff. If I had the money, I'd buy up all of it. Someday, I'll get there. But yeah, I try to keep my energy going. That's why I try to, eat better and whatever. The only thing, my issue is I smoke cigarettes. At least I smoke the Seneca stuff. It doesn't have the 8,000 or so chemicals that Philip Morris was caught putting in. You remember, I think it was at the church hearings, I forget. One of the hearings where back in the 70s when we were younger, like finally, like the Senate and then the Congress, took him to task. Like, what is with all this stuff you're putting in these cigarettes to make people addicted to them? So they fired off Philip Morris, and then all the heads of Philip Morris and everybody else involved in all of that bought into Nabisco. So now they put, all the packaged food now is owned by the same people that own the cigarette companies, pumping all those chemicals in. Now they pump them into the packaged food. These people don't stop, Meanwhile, you can't sell a lot of those chemicals in like Europe. They're against the law. You're not allowed to do that. But he can, because you can make money. That's all they care about here. Let's see, Mike is an Argo. This is still can't see. He goes, you buy the hub adapter and bushing. Yeah, for the fan side, right? Yep. Needs a 1-inch space under the motor, 5/8 of the clutch, 670 definitely goes in there. Yeah, I bet it does. But I said, I don't want to fool around with any of that. See if you can get the correct Sunstar part. Hey, Brett. What's up with Brett? But see if you can get the correct part, especially these days, because they're getting harder to find, and parts is parts. So another score from this Sunstar tractor that he found, parts tractor. So on the front pump of my transmission, that's the front. The front of the transmission is the pump, and then there's the input shaft of the pump, right? So the shaft that comes out of the back of the motor with the U-joints, the axle shaft that comes out, prop shaft, whatever you want to call it, connects to the front pump, which is spline. And something happened on mine. I don't know, but I could see that the splines got beat, and somebody welded the two together. And it is what it is. And it's not straight either. So something else went wrong. I don't know what could have possibly gone wrong. So now we have another transmission and front pump and shaft, which is hard to find, right? And I'm limited. I don't have all these machine tools to just make this stuff as much as, I'll have a lathe at some point soon, but I don't have a mill press or anything like that. I want to get, some kind of turret mill or whatever at some point, but that's a ways off. And then there's the skill set, which I don't really possess yet. I have an understanding of it all. I have worked in machine shops, but not really as a machinist. It's more like the guy and, when you're young. So having access to X3, and I love these machines, and I know he loves his machine, and it's so cool. And he was, he also picked up a bucket loader, and I said to him, he says, I don't know what I'm going to do with that now. Find another Sunstar or a suitable equivalent, right? And we'll fit it. Or if you find another Sunstar. And they're around, like, the original Deutz Alice variant of it. There was one not far from here. The guy wanted like $600 for it at the time. It was the original import before Sunstar bought them. And it was in really nice shape. It might have had the 18 horsepower, but so what? That's a good motor too. So trying to get at whatever you can get. Oh, by the way, it reminds me of Zippo because he bought them all. Zippo says, hey. I keep forgetting to let him know when I'm going to do a live because, it is what it is. Usually I do lives. Usually it's every week. It's at 8:30 when I do them. But, I get tired or whatever. And the big mouth doesn't feel like saying anything because I get tired. I do get tired. Or I get really busy, which makes me tired. So he just, shout out. He's hanging in there, right? But he says, let me know when, and I'll try and show up. So I'll see if I can get with him and make sure that he knows. But it's his option. So if he's tired, because 8:30, when you're battling health issues, even with me with like the diabetes, there are times when I'll burn up all this energy. And my biggest problem with my kind of diabetes, because it's not type 2, it's something that went wrong, like a poisoning, kind of thing. I don't metabolize sugar properly. And it's one of the reasons why I'm skinny, right? It'll make me frail if I'm not really careful as I get older. I burn up all the energy, and very quickly. And at some point, my mitochondria, my muscle tissue, what have you, it will actually run out of food energy. And if my sugar levels go really low, right, your heart will stop. And I've come very close to that many times. The scariest thing is that it wakes me up. I'm lucky. A lot of diabetics that have this, how they die is they don't wake up, and then their sugar level drops and they have a heart attack. They just shut off. So you get tired, and you get these swings, and the biggest issue is to try to smooth out those swings a little bit and try to maintain a good energy level. But listen, when I get tired, and for good reason, and I can't manage it, I'm done. All right, I'm not going to kill myself, for anything or anyone at this point. At 62, if I'm starting to feel it and I need to stop, go lay down, or stop, even if if my blood sugars go up and I have to go out and do something like massive like I did today, I make sure I inject and then I wait for it to kind of even out and become more normal. Because there's another thing too, is whether your sugar levels are low or your sugar levels are high, you can't be doing stressful things, especially not at this age. I mean, I did all the heroic intervention shit when I was younger. I'm done with all of that. I'm done trying to kill myself to live, right? I'm sick of that. So anyway, we're talking with my daughter a little bit today because she's like freaking out because, women. So my ex-wife goes, just buy a nice trailer. And my daughter's like, well, how are we going to move it? She's like, I got people. My ex-wife, because she's been in the automotive business for years, so now she's in the repossession business and transferring, which, by the way, she was telling me today, because she knows all the truck drivers, right? All the tow guys. She's like, I got people that'll move whatever you need to move, as long as it fits, right? We got to get it between the building and the tree. So all right, that's covered. And she was telling me today that she knows this guy. I don't know if he's Pakistani or Indian, but he's really an American. And she's like, he lives up in Connecticut, and he's been in the business now for a little bit. And she says, John, you can't even tell. He has no accent, none. But he's really cooking, and he wanted to buy a whole bunch of cars from us. And it's normally about $600, per transport. A good deal is like $4 and change. And, they'll usually tow several cars at once, maybe 3 on the carrier and 1 behind, or sometimes some have 2 they can fit and 1 behind, or whatever. Up from here, Long Island, up to Connecticut, he got a deal, $300 a car. And she's like, everybody's happy, but nobody's happy because they're not making money. I said, no, they're not making extra money. They're making a day's wage. That guy got a really good deal because he could move all those vehicles real quick, bring them up to Connecticut and sell them. He'll make a really good deal. So he cut a good deal with him, but he had to buy a bunch all at once. She's going to send her guys up there, but they're only getting $300 a car, which is a good savings, right? I'm like, man, $300 a car. Those are old prices, right? From before all the crap happened, before the lockdowns and all that. Because I was looking at some old cars, like what they call, you guys that live down south, some of you pick up, you guys rescue these cars, they're in the woods or whatever, and from the 1950s and 60s, especially the 50s models, and you're putting them up for sale, called yard drivable, right? Maybe get the brakes to go, the engine turns over, it kind of goes with, a container of gas on it. Let's do the video walk around. And there was some nice old examples, and I was looking at some with a friend of mine back then. A couple of $grand for a car. And they were getting about $250, anywhere between $250 and $500 a transport. Which, if the car is $3,000 and it's $250 to $500, depending on where you are, to get it up to you, you're under $4,000 for a yard driving 1950s or 60s car where they give you the video, they do the full walk around and underneath, and you're looking at it and you're going, that's not bad. I mean, they pulled it out of somewhere. It's in good shape. There's no such thing as a New York car like that anymore. They don't exist. And if they do exist, somebody wants, for a piece of crap, $10,000. I see people trying to ask for these station wagons, which some of those are pretty cool, but dude, a rusted out Mustang, rusted to crap. It's a shell. There's nothing there. They want $5,000. They rusted when they were 10 years old, right? Now what are they, 30, 40 years old, 50 years old? I don't even know what yeah, like 50 years old. No, they're garbage. That's garbage. So these are like 2,000 and something prices, right? $300 a car. I don't even know how, but they'll move a bunch of cars. And I said, yeah, everybody gets to make a day's wage is what it is. All right. So that's okay. All right. And to make, a good relationship. So we got people to move what we need to move. Then we just got to figure out how to get it back there. And then my ex-wife, she goes, well, you know what? Why don't, because we want to give the house to my daughter. Right. And I sent my ex-wife on a mission, to go look into trusts and all. I've told her about this for years when I wanted to do it. I'm like, I'm not in a position to do it now. You go see if you can do it. You go learn. So she went to our lawyer, my lawyer, her lawyer. She's going to some other people now and seeing how we can move this stuff into some kind of a trust or whatever. Basically so that when I die or whatever, or whoever goes first, whatever it is, that everything moves seamlessly into the possession of my daughter without all of these taxes and probate court and some idiot in New York State. No offense to the judges and lawyers, but they'll take it, and then the kids will owe all of this money in taxes and everything just to see if they can get what really should be theirs, because they don't, the state doesn't want you to have anything. She's like, well, then you put it back there, find something nice. I'll do the hookup. Basically everything, all the utilities are literally right there. There's even a cesspool right there. And then my ex-wife can move in there. And then I'll wander around like I normally do, especially into everybody's kitchens. And my daughter can get married and then take over the master bedroom, basically take over the house, and we can split the cats. We'll have to ferry the cats around and everything. So I'm like, that's a good idea. That'll work, right? Because they're going to get anxious and they need a place. And like these young people today, like they have no effing hope. They can't buy a $500,000 home on Long Island. How does that work? And you're going to get a car and you got everything else to do. And then if you want to go back to school or whatever else. And Jesus, I remember when I was doing my thing when I first moved in here, and daycare was $12,000 a year. Now, what is it now? 20 at least, just so you could go to work. It's crazy. It's just gotten crazy. So I'm like, whatever it is, I don't care what my ex-wife does, other than that kind of stuff. Like that's the stuff that we need to get it right, So that's the plan. So she had a good idea. I thought that was, it really was, I told you guys, I plant the seeds and everything. It was really my idea. But, I don't, don't push, you just plant seeds, water them every now and then. And then when they come up with it and they come up with an idea, you go, oh yeah, it's a great idea. Yeah. Yeah, but I like what Kevin's saying. Yeah, and I'm not against doing that on a different machine. Kevin, definitely. He goes, the command is shot, otherwise I would fix it. Yeah, I know, right? It's a shame that it's ventilated, it's beat. Brett goes, I got the drill, but haven't unboxed it yet. Oh, how could you? I have to unbox it. Not necessarily that moment, but yeah, he's going to be using it here soon. Going to install one of my vintage hand dryers in my downstairs bathroom. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, you got to get those hand dryers working. Yeah, they need to be not just up on a shelf or something. They need to be in service. Totally. Bravo goes, I feel you, man. I think my kids are thinking on moving back in with me, and jury's still out on what plans they have for me after that. Right? Absolutely. Bravo goes, he goes, buy a southern car, yup, or West Coast car, desert car. Yeah, absolutely. Kevin says, he goes, they go back at least 5 years, do it sooner than later. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why we're on the hunt now. Plus my daughter's passion. And she's at the age now, she's 25, so she's at a good age and she's got a good head on her shoulders, but she feels the pressure and she knows that she needs to make this stuff happen because a fiance, she's like, I need him behind me. I'm like, yeah, he's not going to come up with all these ideas. He's not. He's just not that, not to take anything away from him, but you just need him in agreement and share everything. But you're going to have to do all the groundwork, and we can help you with that. So, we had a good conversation. So we've had a few of them. And I'm like, but yeah, you're going to have to come up with some coin. Both of you going to, we can't afford to do all of this. You're basically getting a lot for free. And at some point, But, you know, I don't make much money anymore. I mean, you can't retire and expect to make a lot of money unless you're doing something. I got to pee. I can't even hold it. I can't even think straight. Oh, let's put the pee lady on. You guys go get a chore. I'm going to see if there's any coffee. And let me cue up the pee lady so we can hang out a little bit longer. But, yeah, because Brett just got here, right? Brett strolls in like my cats. You know, strolls in like my... Brett, you missed the cat movie I put up at the beginning, which was a good cat movie. I thought that was good. You know, I thought that was good. Where is my pea lady? Here she is. Here she is. I found it. Come back and let's see. I think we got it all off. That's the global. Yeah, that should do it. Sorry, I had to go in, take a leak, and we're down. The coffee machine that I have right now is the little Keurig, as opposed to the big Keurig, which is something wrong with the big Keurig. I don't know what it is. And the little Keurig leaks a little bit, and it takes forever to make coffee. And then there's the big coffee pot, which I forget what that one is. That's too fancy for me as well. And no, that would take at least as long. I'm like, oh, geez, I just want a cup of coffee. You know, it is what it is. But yeah, I got the box of Milanos. So they're almost over. I'll have one package. Yeah, it doesn't take me long. So I got those. That's the emergency box. You know. Dump those over there. Plus they make good little containers for shit when you're done. You know. That's always fun to have yet more stuff to put stuff in. So I think I know what I'm going to do with one of those. I got one over there too. I'm going to put some of those discs, those 4.5-inch, you know, grinder discs in or whatever. Let's see, go back at least 5 years. Did you ever get your ex's Honda to work? Yes, yeah. The mechanic got it to work. It was a bad wiring, like a short, and it was probably She didn't tell me where it was. I don't think he told her. But we're guessing either in that tail light that I replaced from the Chinese tail light, or it's up on the hatch door, which would be my guess because there's all those lights up there and everything's moving back and forth. And a lot of these wires, they're very thin. They're not like the old school wires. They're too thin. Something very similar on Liz's door, right, on the control switch for everything, the windows and everything. The pins are so small and the wires are so small that it's just the vibrations and stuff. Eventually, things either don't work or they crack or they break or they wear out or the contacts are no good or whatever. They're not robust. So, yeah, he took care of it like that night. And she had it back the next morning, next day, whenever. And her girlfriend took her over and picked it up, which was nice. Let's see. My uncle has a Deutz Alice. My uncle was a Deutz Alice dealer. No kidding. I bought a new one with a 20-horse MaGeddon that I still have. Wow. That's nice. And Kevin says, the other was a parts machine I bought for $150. But he's like, I'd like to kind of get it running now. Yeah, you should. Tractor in general are a problem for me because I want more. That's not a problem. The problem is finding and getting more, not the having. Sometimes the having is better than the wanting. Shop says, that person has a bladder of a freaking camel. I know, totally. Apparently, yep. Yeah, she can just keep going, right? And scratching her ass and everything. I told you I had to add the P sound to it. I don't think that clip art came with the P sound. So what I did was I added a little bit of echo to it, too, to give it that bathroom-y kind of feel, that legit... Like you're actually standing there with her or standing behind it. Don't stand in front of her. Unless you're into that kind of stuff. If that's, hey. Not saying anything. Not saying it's good. Not saying it's bad. You do you. I think that's pretty funny, though. But, yeah, that's all fixed. So, yeah, the parts tractor, I think, is going to work out really good. So, I'm just kind of going through some of the video right now. It's a little boring, some of it, and it's boring for me sometimes. Like I go through it, and I'm like, I have to watch it all and just keep editing, and then I definitely take way more footage than I ever need. So I lay it all up there, and I do all my rough cuts, and then I come back and I start watching it, and I go, no. Already said that. No. Cut. And I look at the time, and I'm like, this has got to be 30 minutes or less, right? 20 minutes would be great. But sometimes that just doesn't work out. Like a lot of these projects are really involved, but I do cut a lot out, but they are really involved. And you have to sit and watch through it and see if there's a part that you want to leave in, or if there's a part that maybe if you say it twice, maybe the second time you say it is better and it's better placed than the first time you said it, or maybe it's the other way around and you can compare. And it takes a while. I laid out another video from my other channel, which I think is right here. Let me just show you real quick. And I actually got a few views on it. So I think I got a couple of videos up. It's always fodder. Like when you do start a channel, your early videos, even if they're good, unless it's something really like a hot topic, it's just something, Your first videos are just the thing to start the channel. It takes a long time unless it's a really hot topic. Let me see. Let me open it up. So like a year, even right now, my channel is a small channel, but it's a channel. I can put out something, it'll get a few views on it, but it's really a year before YouTube and the public decides, right? So now here, let me show you. At least a year, 10 months to a year. And I'm not the only person that says that. I mean, I know that for a fact for my channel, but so here's us now taking a stand with the Wright stand-up project update. So then I come over here, switch to this guy, which I haven't really laid out a good icon yet for it, a logo, whatever. And then I have to ask it to view my channel. So, I got 26 views. Is it bad, right? That's a power supply. It's computer, it's tech stuff. So I got 26 views a day ago, which is nice, and somebody commented. I got 5 subscribers on 8 videos. Then I did one on the computer. This is years ago, but I put the video out. This is sort of like a welcome. I got 17 views. This one got 1.3 thousand views 2 months ago. This is some one of the music testing, playing blues. You guys have heard some of that. A microphone I bought. That's it. That's all I've had time to do since I started it. And like I said, somebody commented today, which was nice. I wrote back. Oh, and he replied. Oh, nice. He goes, technically all that can contribute to a power supply failure. Yeah, the power supply died a few years back. What you said, but the overclock part, that would really need to overdrive the power supply like 50% more spike draw. Yeah, I totally get what he's saying. Yeah, Juan Hernandez just subscribed. Yeah, nice, right? That's just the way it goes, It's fun to start something different. And there's a lot of different kinds of videos and stuff that I'll put out on that channel. But it's very different than this, But it'll be fun. All of the stuff that I really can't put on this channel, as I have time, I'll put it out on the other channel. It is what it is. It's better than putting it here because a lot of it just doesn't fit here. Even some of the tractor stuff that I'm going to be putting out, That's just going to happen. Let's see. Really restore the chat. There we go. Yeah, it sounds like, wait. The problem is wanting and getting more stuff means more and bigger garages. It's me. I am the problem. Yes. Yeah, I'm the problem too. Brett says, sounds like peeing in a school restroom. Definitely. Hey, Lois. And he goes, hello, brother, watching everybody. Yeah, what's going on, brother? Yeah, we're just hanging out. I'm actually running a little bit late. We're an hour and 39 minutes, but took like 10 minutes to get through the coffee break, So I'm hanging like another 15 minutes or so, just to chill, kick back a little bit. But I always start at like 8:30, though. Regardless, if I don't do a live, then I don't do a live. But when I do one, 8:30 is usually the target. A little bit before or a little bit after, but 8:30 is the target. I'll show a little bit of that mix and paint for Hank if he's still awake, if he's still here. That was from like last week, I think it was. Like I have all of these cans of paint. I'm always buying stuff. So I was like, well, why do I have to always buy everything? I have 2 cans of white and a can of black, and they're like brand new. Like, I'll just make gray. Gray's a good color. Do I still have it up here? I don't know if I moved it. Yeah, here's some of it. Let's see. Let me cue it up. Is this it? Yeah, I think this is some of it. Yeah, here's the cans. Hold on.
All right. Let's see if we
Let's
can
move
make
it.
some gray. So this is an old can. You
Right,
can see by
Mona.
the rust, and this is a newer can. And
Yeah, gray's
gloss
coming
white.
up.
It's V.
Yeah, that's an old
779.
can. Look at the
This is
top on it.
standard. I
Yeah, let me turn
don't
this down
like,
a little bit.
Gloss, but it is useful.
I mixed the gloss with the Satan,
certain
you know,
conditions.
texture
You know,
because
it's
I don't like
plastic
gloss per
bag,
se.
like-
Look at it, it's all sticky.
So we wanna
I've opened them up.
anyway. They're going
Oh, look,
bad,
it's got
so
it's got the film on top.
the top.
Yeah, you got to cut that out.
It's not been down there a long time.
Yeah,
let's see what we have.
yeah, it's an old can. I can't. It was like a full can. I opened it up once. That's why you saw the plastic on it.
Paper. Don't want chips.
I forget what these knives are called. They have a thick edge on one end, the sharp edge on the front and on the bottom, and there's a special name for that knife.
Here we have.
I have a few of them. Yeah, this skin. I can make a can of paint last for 20 years. You know, we have it easy. You know, if you put it away right. Whereas, like my daughter painted her room, and it's just paint all over the outside of the can. The cap doesn't fit down, and like I tried to show her, and I remember she was having an issue at like 11 o'clock at night, and then I'm trying to show her. Why are you showing me now? Because you wouldn't listen if I showed you before. I wait till you have a problem, and then I'll help you, because otherwise you just won't listen. That's not right. You should have told me before. Why do you let me make mistakes first? Like I said, because you won't listen. So rather, it's easier for me and for you to sit. I can sit and watch you make the mistake, shake my head, and then go, let me help.
It's one of the beauties.
It doesn't take long to mix gray
Which is a
with
satin paint.
black and white. Black is, that's what I did, was I basically added some brown into the yellow today, and it toned that color down, and it made it more correct for the stander.
Some of the old,
Look at that. Look how nice that's coming.
so
Isn't that nice, rich and creamy?
so this paint was, and you can just guess it's a little heavy.
It doesn't take much.
Honestly. I did.
Now I have a full can of gray paint, and a lot of black paint, and a lot of white paint still. Look how nice that's coming. Look at that. Look at that. And I could actually have it a little bit darker. So you saw it on the engine stand.
That's a nice gray.
That is a nice gray.
About the color, even a little darker, but it's going to lighten up. So
Yeah.
I stirred this up. So this is our satin.
Satan. I'm like,
And-
let's put a little bit more in. I want a little more paint, because I have other jobs for it.
Just add a little. We're almost
You know, gray's a good
3/4 full.
industrial shop color, right?
That's a nice paint in here because we're going
Let's see, is there anything left of this? I think that's it. Yeah, there it is. There's a full can of
to, and
nice gray. Like I said, it could be a little bit darker. We'll load it in the gun.
nice tomato. And a little dry.
I need more thinners though. And that's something, that's us now, or that's us last week, I think it is. Hold on, let me come back. There's usually something stupid on here. Anything stupid on here? I don't know if there is anything stupid on here. Maybe something horrible. We'll find all that later. Let me come back. Right monitor off. A10 camera. Nice, great paint. See, Prince, this is next shop tool, a drill press. Yes, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, cookies sound great. Yeah. Wait, hold on, wait. He goes, bro, he goes, Arch, I did laundry today, and I will be baking cookies tonight. I'm coming over. I can't head to bed for another couple of hours. Nice. If you're eating cookies especially, you can't head to bed right away, because you're going to get that sugar burn, you know? I feel so domesticated. I know, how long did it take you to become domesticated? It takes fellas a while. Yeah, next shop tool, drill press. I got a big ass drill press in my garage. Can't remember the last time I turned it on. I tend to use my mill as a drill. Yep. Yeah, well, because it's nice to use, unless you're just setting up for some simple drill stuff. But yeah, you have a nice mill. I've seen a few around here, but they're still like $1,000. Not necessarily. I mean, the Bridgeports, I can get a Bridgeport for $1,500 to $2,000 around here. I can't tell you if it's any good, but they're definitely around. But I was thinking about getting something else. Just a standard mill or something like that. Not necessarily like with a knee on it. I've seen there was one around the area for about $500, but I don't have $500 right now. I got other things I got to take care of. And then when the lathe is done and the garage is set up a little bit more, and I have a little bit more time and hopefully a little bit more cash in my pocket, that's when I'll start looking. Because even if I don't keep the machine I buy, I can start off with it, make sure it's working good, use it to fix other machines, and then if I come across with a better deal or whatever, I can, keep going like that until I have the things that I want. But still, although I don't think I'm going to get rid of that old Star lathe. It's just too cool of an old lathe to get rid of. And it'll always have a use, even if it's not something that you would want to use all the time. Yeah, probably, because if you were close by, I'd give it to you. Yeah, I'm in Ohio. Yeah, that's a bit of a hike from Alabama, for sure. Lewis says, I wish I had a mill. Those are handy. They sure are. For so many things. And I really need a mill to fix my lathe, so I'm going to have to find another way around it. The other thing I can do is, if I make different rests for my lathe, tool rests, or structures to hold or something, like I could make the part by spinning it in my 4-jaw. That's a possibility. I don't know. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. I don't want to think too hard on that. There's ways of using, well, a lathe is just a mill turned this way, right? Horizontal. So you could look at it like that. But there's never enough tools, There's just, that's the thing. In bits and cutters and setups. And Bravo says, to tell you the truth, I use that thing almost every day for something or other. I use it more than my whole collection of 10mm tools. Yeah. And the thing is, you won't lose it either, like a 10mm tool. You'll never lose your lathe or your turret unless somebody takes it or you sell it, right? You'll always know where it is. It'll never misplace it. That's what's cool about tools like that. Like, oh, let's go walk over to it. I'm home. They're just nice to have. And you have enough room, though. You've got the two buildings. I think eventually the lathe and the drill press will be out there, but they'll come back in here because I've been reworking this area here and cleaning up and doing stuff, but there's no place to put those machines in here right now. I want to keep the dust and the grinding down to a minimum in here for a number of reasons, right? But a mill doesn't make dust unless you're cutting through some rust or you happen to be cutting something that is a dusty material, like one of these new plastics or something. But they make chips, which isn't really a problem. It's the dust. So the grinding, the derusting, the painting, I want in that room. So at some point, the drill and a lathe, or maybe even a mill. If it's a big mill, I can't put it here because I don't have the floor is not strong enough for it. It is still a wood floor, even though it's sitting on top of 2x12s. Stuff has moved. I'm seeing cracking and the tiles need to be replaced in certain areas. So it really the heavy stuff needs to be on the concrete floor. But if it's something I can put in here, even if I have to, beef up a section, it can stay in here if it's not a dust maker. That's really the main thing, and let all the dust and the horror and the garbage really be in the other room. And that is starting to work out really good. And I have a few other little projects to fix as well, and they can be done in that room. So that's one of the advantages of having like different places, to do things. You can split it up. Like that guy Max, he does a lot of welding and grinding, but he does it by the door. Even though the shop is really big, it's not tiered. It's not walled. So he's got a spot over closer to the door, out of the way as much as possible of the other machines, so that the grinding and the welding and all that nonsense can happen in that area. And I think eventually he'll set up some, basic partitions what can help too is those welding partitions, with the screens and all of that. Because even if like he paints his stuff, because he does sell it, but when he restores it, when he's done restoring it, he'll put a nice lick of paint on everything. And I've had toolboxes and stuff close to where I've been welding, and the paint will oxidize. It will turn white, like whitish. It doesn't matter, whatever it is. That light is powerful. It is really powerful, and you don't realize it. So, let's see, Dawn's asleep right here next to me. That's nice. That's nice. Yeah, I just checked on the cats. They're getting tired. They were having a party in there because Christina bought the boys. They got these little plastic springs, so they're having fun with the springs, right? Everybody's got something. Missy has now, she's in love with these little stuffed animals, and in particular this little Sharky, and she plays this game. So we were keeping all of those things in a drawer in the kitchen because they have catnip in them, or they did have some catnip in them. So she knew they were in the drawer. So she would try to open the drawer, or she'd point to the drawer, and she'd paw at it and tell you, I want Sharky. And even though there's a whole bunch of other ones in there, she wants Sharky. So what she'll do is she'll take Sharky and she'll play with Sharky for a little while, but then she'll throw it underneath one of the things, either underneath the couch, in particular underneath the recliner, or in the back mudroom, underneath the cabinet that's there, or now there's another new place, or underneath the refrigerator, or there's this place upstairs, and I'm understanding that there's more. And then she comes to you, and then she points at the drawer, and she gets frantic, and she runs around. She's telling you, go get Sharky. So we rescue Sharky, and she won't take Sharky. You have to put Sharky back in the drawer. Then she goes into the drawer to take Sharky out, and this starts all over again. So we also have the little fishing poles with the fish on the bottom, right? So they've all played with them, and Christina brings one of them home one day, and it's a little bit of a different color rod, and it's got something on it, whatever. So Binks, the oldest boy, he's decided that that's his from the second he saw it, and if any of the other cats near it, he would growl at them. Growl at them, right? So that's his. And Marley, the mama, right, she has this big carrot. No one else touches the carrot. She's the only one that can touch the carrot. She doesn't really play with the carrot. One of the things, she'll carry the carrot around, and it's always someplace. And one of the things that she'll do is that if she gets pissy at night, she'll take the carrot and walk around with the carrot in the living room and yell up the stairs. "Ow! Ow! Ow!" with the carrot next to her, right at the foot of the stairs, trying to wake everybody up. She could be asleep on my bed. I'll go to get into bed. She gets out, goes downstairs. One of the other cats climbs up, or whatever. She goes down there, gets the carrot, and you hear her. Oh, they all have this thing. It's something to each one. So it's just weird, but it's fun. It's fun. I have a good time. Yeah, Roxy is snuggled up here in front. So one of them was telling me, because they think Molly, Mama Molly, I'm like, they think she's mad all the time, right? Well, she's got kids, right? So, yeah. But she's good to me. And so I told my daughter, I'm like, what do you mean? Like, she's like, well, she's got bitch face all the time. I'm like, you telling me that Mama Molly has resting bitch face? She's like, yeah, she's angry all the time. So now the thing is, I'm supposed to take Molly back out here, because when we first got Molly, I had Molly out here, right? We wouldn't really let her in the house. So let's see. Wait. Johnny Rose says, Arch, getting the mill is just opening the money door. Tooling, trust me on that. I know, right? I know. A little bit at a time, right? I know. Tooling. Although, I'll tell you, how many times I see here, because this used to be Grumman was huge here. So one of the things that Grumman had, they didn't just have their own facilities. They hired every contractor, every shop that you could imagine. They were all over the place at one time. And the fellows are still retiring out and, or passing away, and, their wives or family members, they don't know what to do with this stuff. It's pretty much every week I look in the local marketplace, and there is tooling. They ask a good money for it, but there's a lot there, and it's generally in very good shape. It's all kind of tooling, from blocks to mounts to gauges to whatever. vices to whatever. And, if I could, cough up, some extra cash, it'd be nice. I wouldn't mind. That's how I picked up a lot of the stuff that I have anyway. Garage sales and whatever. And it's so much fun. Not everything has to be new. If it's not all full of rust and broken, it's usually in good shape, and that stuff is usually put aside. And like I said, the families, they don't know what to do with any of this stuff. Nobody knows what to do with it because nowadays, no one's making anything here on Long Island anymore. So everybody's working in some kind of a retail. And as people come up, they don't know what this stuff is. Sad to say, they just look at it and it's just heavy stuff. I don't know, it's archaic. Everything's supposed to be electronic or robotic now, or AI, right? And they look at this tooling and they're like, I don't know what it is. Get rid of it. Scrap it. It's heavy. It must be worth something. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, Roxy Snuggled Up Bravo goes, yeah, the lathe and mill won't wake up one morning and tell me they don't love me no more. That's right. My tools and machines, they never argue with me. They might be a pain in the ass sometimes, but they never argue. They don't lie to me, right? Tell me they love me when they don't because they just want something. He goes, I have a small mill, a little Benchmaster benchtop mill I started out on. He goes, it fit right. I know, right? That's what I was thinking. Even one of those combo units with the little lathe on it, that might be nice too, because then it leans right over the lathe, especially for small things like bushings or small tools or small little fixture things that, I'm not looking to mill heads or even a small mower head. That might be a good thing to have, even if I do get a bigger one later on down a road, like a bench, shop smithy kind of thing. I'd be able to make, everything from T-nuts to God knows what. And they're very good at threading, both metric and standard. They're a little bit more modern. I've seen them around here used. Some of them are a little bit bigger and they're more money. And they're not used a lot, so they're in good shape. You're absolutely right. That would be perfect. And I could even use that to fix my old lathe, right? That kind of thing. I'm totally with you on that. Brett says, he goes, you want a dust maker, right? The Rockwell uniplane. Yeah. And I do the woodworking. I used to do a lot of woodworking in here. Yeah, tell me about it. Talk about dust. Oh my God. I do want to do some more woodworking, and that's going to be done kind of partially outside and in the other room, and then fit up can be done in here. But I had all these 8-foot benches in here all tied together, and when I was rebuilding this and working on the house, I got to get back to working on the house again. So that's another reason why I'll put like a dust vacuum in there, and I'll do more of it out in that other room. And the mills and stuff, you just have to throw a cover over them, whatever, and it is what it is, It is what it is. I can't, if I would live in a shop. And I used to say the same thing about my house, because like when I built the apartment that we lived in, I'm like, me and Arthur's cousin Johnny, we both had the same idea. Make everything concrete and tile and bluestone. And then I'm like, I got one better. Put a drain in the middle, or a drain in every room, and little bibs, like when you go to like the gym, right? They got the hose bibs, and the dude just walks in, right? And he plugs into the hose bib, and he's got the wand with the soap agent, and he just sprays the soap agent. It foams down, and he switches to rinse mode, and it all goes down the drain. I want my living room, my kitchen, my shop. I want everything like that. And then you just pull like the beds down and everything and put some bedding out. You open up some waterproof cabinets, and it's all in there. And everything is just washable, right? F wiping, F, or blowing with the air, the leaf blower, F rags, right? Just hose and soap agent. And everything just gets super cleaned, right? Right down into the floor, and out it goes. And then you let it dry, and you come back and you go, right? Hypoallergenic shop, right? Yeah, never gonna have it, right? Yeah, because you have a plan, Jamie goes. Bravo goes, big enough to do a lot of stuff. Yeah, but not so big it needs a concrete floor. That's what I'm saying. Like even in here, like my drill press is not light. That lathe is not light, but I can hold it. All of this stuff. I had toolboxes that are heavier than that lathe, and that lathe is heavy, right? And they're all in here. But I put them, like that one's where the concrete is, right? We put the concrete footing in and the block and everything. So everything's hanging on that sill plate right over there. So right there, it's not a problem. I mean, the building's going to move. It's going to move. Here I got concrete. Here I got a basement. I got piers, right? So I could get in there and put columns or whatever underneath to support. So I got ideas, you know. First, I got to get my daughter married off and figure out the living situation. But while I'm doing that, and they're like, Dad, why don't you move out into the shop? I'm like, well, I'm not going to just put a kitchen and everything out here. We have to put a small extension up, right? For a little bedroom and a toilet over there and a little kitchenette. I'm like, I'm not really going to be in the kitchenette because I'm going to be wandering into you guys' kitchens and refrigerators because you're going to have to feed me because, you know, because that's how it works. That's the deal, right? You have to feed me anyway. My daughter fed me tonight. She made a burger. You know, I fed myself too a little bit, but, you know, big enough to do a lot. Yeah, Lewis says my daughter has a cat, Toby Keith. Yep. Brett says Charlie used to do that with stuffed frog. He'd go get it, bring it in the room, and meow loudly. Yeah, I know you miss him. Yeah, I miss my Apollo. Yeah, the big white dog. Yeah. Yeah, but you have new love now, right? That's why I got these 4 cats. They're crazy. They're absolutely crazy. Yeah, they were in there. They're getting tired, but there's shit everywhere right now. They're having a party in there. Yep. Yep. Lewis says, I know you do, Brett. Yeah, bro. Says Charlie had a blessed life, Brett. Yep. Just like Roxy and Dawn and Arch's kitties. Yep. All my doggies. We were talking about the dogs, too, this past weekend. Yeah, brother goes, I never had a uniplane. I have a DeWalt 735. Holy mother of God, it throws crap everywhere. Yep. Yep. Actually, I saw something today. Max Grant. He makes a lot of his fixtures, right? So he was grinding the front face of the bed of the lathe. Now, he didn't show it all, and he said he was going to show more of it towards the end, and I got to get back to it, but I had to reboot the computer and set up for tonight. So I got to go back and find it because his videos are all over the place. It was and I've seen guys do something similar before. So it was a fixture that runs along the bed rails, and to get to the front of the bed rail, he had a router mounted to the fixture that rides along the bed rails, and on the bottom of the router is a small grinding wheel that, you know, I guess I'm assuming he trues up with a diamond bit. And he took a few thousandths of an inch off the front and then hand scraped the rest. Oh, you are God, right? You are one of the gods, right? Like, yeah, totally. You know, just loving it. You know, I like that kind of thinking. You know, I'm like, how's he gonna? He hand scrapes a lot of it. I get it, but if you want to mill, I'm like, how are you gonna mill the front of this? This thing is so huge, right? It is such a huge machine. I don't know what the size of the bed is. It's big. It's long, and he still had a hand scrape it. Yeah, kitchen darling, a blessed life. And Toby, I'm sure. I never had a uniplane, Lewis says. That's what the Chinese do, Arch. Yeah, right? The uniplane was a vertical joiner, which they aren't in production anymore. Yeah. Yeah, I did want a joiner. I do need a planer, but a joiner would be nice. That would be nice. Because then I could make cabinets and doors. I've made cabinets and doors. Liz's father showed me. He's like an in situ carpenter. He's made some very nice stuff. Basically, he shows up. He considers himself to be a minimalist. He says to me one day, how many hammers do you really need? I said, oh, because I got a lot of them and I use them all for different reasons. Like, he's not like that. He's very narrow-minded, but he's very talented. And I've seen him make some beautiful stuff by hand with minimal tools. But I just can't ascribe to that mentality. I'm not knocking him, you know. He's a craftsperson. I remember when how I met her was I went to a garage sale around the corner, and he was selling a radial arm saw, which when I got it home, it didn't work. And he gave me my money back, but I actually fixed it. And what happened was the motor bearings went, and the housing is kind of plastic, and they used to be people that did stuff around here. Right around the corner was a motor shop, electric motor shop. What a disgusting place. And I was talking with them, and I got some bearings and some brushes from them. And they went, oh, boy. They said, that's not an easy fix. You have to mix up some 5-minute epoxy, and you have to set that, and you have one shot. And he goes, and most people can't do it. I said, all right, well, give me this stuff. And I brought everything home. And because they kind of told me this, what I did was I put all the bearings in, I set it up on the table, I made a little fixture for it, and I rehearsed about 5 times, putting it together and taking it apart, putting it together and taking it apart. And then I felt confident enough. I mixed up the 5-minute epoxy. I put it together. I waited a while. I think I waited till like the next day, and I turned it on, and it worked ever since. And I think I sold it for like $100 because I thought it was moving and everything. And honestly, radio alarm saws are nice, but they take up a lot of room, and there's better ways of doing things. But yeah, I was able to fix it. Yep. Fortunately, he told me like what to do, because that I think was the key. Was kind of going in knowing what I was in for. Bravo says that's the one thing I use my mill for. I use it when I need very precision wood cuts. Yep, woodworking sites give me help for it, but it works. Why? Makes a huge mess. Yeah, but why? So what? It's to work. It's not to look at. I know these guys, like, they're all purists and all that, but look, these machines are for us to work. My mill, my lathe, right? I was going through some of this with my friend, my retired lawyer friend, and we were sharing some brochures and everything on that, getting some more history on it. And there was a number of variants that were wood. It was the same machine, except it just had the wood rest, the tool rest. Same machine, came in some different variants of where the engine was, and some of them were actual like treadle operated, where you just kept pressing down on that, on the floor pedal to spin everything up with the flywheel. But yeah, you had your tool rest, and what's the difference? When they get dirty from whatever, you got to clean them. Not everything is, it's precision, but the tool is made to be used. It's not abused. If it gets all gawked up, you're going to have to clean it. So what? I clean in here all the time. I'm constantly cleaning. I got to clean out. This computer, the fans, I put filters on it and all, but it still sucks all kinds of crap inside of it. All this needs to be cleaned again. I got to sweep out the floor. Sometimes I have to vacuum and dust and all of that. What's the difference? You let it get up to a point where you're having a bit of a problem, and now you have to take it apart and clean it. And then you go back to using it again. So what? It's not like you're using it underwater or in a salt air environment outside and it's getting rained on. You're using it. You're working with it. All right. One of the old lathes that Max just set up, really old lathe, it was worn. And he listed it as worn. And he said it took a little while, but he did manage to sell it. He cut it in half. The customer said, I want it, but he wants to do something. This guy wanted to do something with these big tree trunks. He wanted to cut big tree trunks. I don't know. He didn't say. I don't know. He could have been designing tables. You know how guys make these tabletops these days, right? These beautiful tabletops that they immerse in, in the epoxy resin and everything. Maybe he was cutting wafers, but he didn't need the whole bed. So he bought the machine. He says, but I need you to cut the bed off of it. And the rest of it was this big honking engine, He didn't need all the rest of it. He knew exactly what he was going to be doing with it. He got rid of the part that was really worn. He got the part that does all of the business end and the turning, and he was, I guess, whatever he was going to make to fit onto the end of it. And he was going to be however he was, I don't know. But that's what he wanted it for. And I'm sure it worked very good for that, whatever it is, right? What's the difference? You got an idea in your head. You want to use it for something. God bless. People are cutting Delrin and all kinds of, parts these days. Sometimes these lathes, old lathe might be dedicated just to be doing that. And it's going to ghoul up. Yeah. Yep. Makes a huge mess. I bet it does. So what? Who cares? Right? I would grind on my old machine. I would do that. Weld on it if I had to. I would protect it as best I could. But if I had a job that I had to do that, And that was the place I had. I don't have a big facility to cordon off areas. This tool's only for that. That tool's only for that. I wish, but I don't. That's not going to happen. I'm going to be using whatever tool I have in any way that I can to get the work done. And then I'll clean it up later, whenever that is. Right? Who cares? Yeah, so that's my new channel. Let me swap it back so I know, because I won't be going back to it for a little while. I'll switch the account back to me, back to my main channel. So that's fun. I got some more stuff coming up on my new channel as I have time, right? This is my primary focus, and the other channel is good for whatever else I want to put up on there, and I can have fun and do something a little bit different. And now that this channel's been around, by the way, big shout out to everybody, because I think, what did I hit? I don't remember how many views I hit. I now have 12.3 thousand subscribers, and what did we hit? Where does it tell me that? 578 videos that are published, because a lot of them I haven't published or I took off because they were crap. And I made 2,626,632 views, which, I didn't think that I was even going to get that, 5 years ago. I'm like, oh, I got 1,000 views. Yeah. Just like with my new channel, right? I got 1,000 subscribers. Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Awesome, Brother Arch. Yeah. Thanks, Lewis. Yeah, your channel's getting up there too. I stopped in. I was going to comment, but like I said, half the time I just don't feel like getting up, because when I'm in a watching mode, I don't comment. Although I had to comment that thing the other day on the left bollock. I thought that was funny. I'll bet you left bollock. I'll bet you left bollock that it was the pin from the other. Yeah, that was great. I don't know what the left bollock is or what the right bollock is, but I'm not betting it. I think I'm going to hold on to it. Brett says, he goes, I sure would like to have the big ass surface plane that we had at school. 24-inch hydraulic table, hydraulic 3-phase Rockwell. Yup. Yeah, that would be, I'll bet you left bollock. He's got great things, Australian dudes. And the British, they have cool things. The other thing I noticed that the British and the Australians say is, so when they use the word that, right, we'll say something like, that over here is what you want. You want that. We'll kind of use it like that. We usually use it more towards the beginning of a sentence, right? That costs $50. This costs 20. Oh, I bet that was a big problem for you, that. That's how they use it. Not that's a big problem. Oh, big problem that was for you, that. They reverse it. I haven't really looked into that, but I've noticed that. I'm using the word that a lot. Now I'm going to be stuck on that. I'll bet you left bollock, that. Yeah. Yeah, they say things different than we do, totally. I'm sure. And they spell everything wrong. Color is what is it? C-O-L-O-U-R. What are you doing? What is that? What are you adding extra letters for? That's a lot of work. That. I mean, that was one loud SOB. You could hear it all the way down the hall, right? Yeah, I bet. Starting up and everything spooling up. I actually like woodwork because I learned to be a carpenter from Arthur and his father and then working my ass off. When I was really young, got to get you guys out of here on this because it's getting late now. When I was really young, I was very young. My father did do a little bit of carpentry and he showed me a few things, but he wasn't very, he was handy. He wasn't mechanically inclined per se. But he was kind of handy. He was an artist, too. That he was very good. So I'd play around with wood. And I liked wood because for a youngin', learn how to drill and all of that, wood was easy to cut, to drill. But because he wasn't a carpenter and I wasn't around carpenters, I noticed right away the problem I had was fastening. Connecting two pieces of wood together, the fastening. And I understood this from a very young age. So if you're trying to make something for your wooden push go-kart, right? Because he made me one, and I didn't like the way he fashioned the axle. And so I had to try to solve that problem, and I didn't really know how. And I didn't like working with the wood in terms of fastening things. And I started working with metal. And I liked it better because you could put screws in it and bolts and stuff and tighten it down. But it was still somewhat problematic. And then later on, we started to get into welding. I remember Channel Home Center had this little, I forget who made it, but this little oxyacetylene kit. So you'd get a can of MAP, and then there was this other canister that you put some water in or whatever, and you put these pellets in it, and then it made like an O2 gas. And it would cut and braze for a little while and you'd have to run back to the store, and it was kind of expensive. That was like my first foray into that, other than propane, MAP gas, and then this little thing. Because really, there wasn't that many people around that did any of this. Then I started taking all the shop classes and everything. So as time went on, I realized that, and I still see it today when people make work tables or whatever, and authors started to show me some stuff about joining and seaming and where the loads were and how to fasten wood. And then I started reading on it, and I took a wood shop course and I took metal courses, and I started doing all this different stuff over time. And now when I look at wood, it really is the joinery. Like everything is in what makes wood so strong is, and it's, stronger than steel and all. Yeah, whatever. The problem is in the joinery. So when you learn how to do good joinery, now they have biscuit joiners and all this other stuff, which I have. But good finger joining is really cool. And if you make an interesting looking joint that you can show and reveal, that's really where the craft is. And you can make these damn things really, really strong for sure with a bit of glue and some proper fitment. It is different, all the different dovetails and the ways that you could do it. And then Liz's dad showed me some simple techniques on some very simple joinery with hand tools. Because like I said, he'd make cabinets for, not necessarily the uber end of the wealthy, but for a lot of people that would spend a little bit more money, and he could make it quick on some saw stands out in the garage or outside in the backyard. And knowing how to make some of that. And then I started to learn more about, the golden rules, the golden mean, and all that, 1/3, 2/3, all these mathematical things that you start to see if you get involved in all this stuff. And why is a grandfather clock look a certain way, right? What is the dimensionality, and then how to scale it? Because I also took AutoCAD plus mechanical drawing and all this other shit as well. And that's how you start to get into, well, if you would, because I remember one guy I worked with, he built his own house. Even my friend Steve did this a little bit. He worked on his house, and I didn't really say anything, but I noticed that the sizing, the proportions weren't right. And I didn't really want to say to him because I don't think he understood this, these basic principles on how to get proportions right. And then I saw something recently. There was a house, I forget where it was, and many of you may have either been to, like living up in the north, I've been to the House of Seven Gables and all that. Like how do you make these gables, and how do you proportionalize them? But this one house that had been mostly restored, it was so ornate, and it had so many different corners and angles. And the strategy for the designer, it was my old house. The real strategy, why it looked so cool, was because everything was a different size. Every gable was different. Every corner was a different size. There wasn't any place where your eye could fall and compare it to another side, because there was no other side or extrusion or whatever that was the same as the thing next to it. And you would think that would mess you up visually, but no, it didn't. All the scroll work was a little bit different, but it was so different and different enough, it didn't have to match anything. And I kind of understood this, like when we first started working on this house, I told my wife, I said, don't make anything too perfect, because the house was never perfect. This is what they call an American Foursquare, with a pyramid roof and everything. If you overdo it, it looks plasticky and not right, and it doesn't look old, and it doesn't have that mystique and that ambiance. And it's just some cool shit. So when you start to get into design and proportionality, there's always a math behind it, but it surprises you as to what it really is. And I still look at stuff like that. I'm still interested in it. I'm just getting too old to fuck around like that. And that's money. It's big money. So some of these people, like the Winchester house, right? Check out the Winchester house. It's absolutely bizarre. And I think that just about bankrupted that family because she spent so much money. I think the wife or whatever, after he died, she spent so much money. She just kept going and going. And I think a lot of it is you just don't know what else to do with yourself after a while. And if you have the money, you just keep going, But I would love that, right? I mean, I've been in some of these houses where they have hidden doors and passages in between things and where you can walk up through. And it's bizarre. I wouldn't mind living like that, Not gonna happen in this life. All right, I'm out of here. I'll see you guys later. It's late. What time is it? It's 10:47, and I'm gonna go chill out. Thanks for hanging out and stopping in with old Uncle Arch for another Saturday night of wasting time. Right? Thanks for coming to Wasting Time with Uncle Arch. See you guys later.